Vincent van Gogh was born in Holland in 1853. He had 2 brothers and 3 sisters, but was closest to his younger brother Theo. Vincent loved to draw as a child, and by the time he was 27 years old, he devoted his whole life to painting. When Vincent began painting, he painted images from his surroundings, which were a bit gloomy. He used dark, sad colors, and when he moved to France, he started to paint sunflowers. The colors he used became brighter, and his iconic short brushstroke technique was developed. He painted portraits, streets, cafes, and countrysides. Vincent painted hundreds of pictures, sometimes finishing a single painting in a day. But then, unfortunately, Vincent became unwell and moved to a hospital so others could take care of him. He died in 1890. Let's go ahead and get started on our Van Gogh landscape too. Beginning with the end in mind, we're going to be using lots of different materials to begin our landscape. When you get started, start thinking about, do I want to use warm colors to make a landscape, or would I like to use cool colors to make my landscape? So, once you've decided on a warm color set or a cold color set, begin on your background. Take a few moments to pencil in just a few designs that you would like to use for your landscape, thinking about my foreground, my middle ground, and my background. Foreground is areas that are up close, middle ground is in the middle, and background is further away. I've decided I'm going to be using a cool color scheme for my set of my project. Again, remember, I can decide on warm colors that make me think of warm temperatures, or cold colors that make me think of cooler temperatures, like the images at the beginning. So once I've decided on my color set, I'm going to use the sides of my chalks and start adding that onto the paper. Using my hand or my fingers, I'm going to go ahead and blend that together. Once I've blended my colors onto the paper, I want to take a moment and make sure that my hands are cleaned off before I move into the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and put my chalks back for a second, grab a towel, and get the fingers cleaned off. With a wet paper towel, you can just rinse off your fingers so that you can use that wet paper towel because you're going to need it again. Using some of my colors, they can be as abstract as you want. You don't have to use green for grass. You could use some colors of yellows, oranges, pinks, or reds. It can be any color that you want. But the thing that you might notice when I begin putting my chalks onto my paper is that I'm putting the color on and wiping it so that I have clean colors that I can keep separate. What I am not doing is taking my whole hand and going over the whole page. I want my colors to stay separate. That's my base coat. So let's go on to making it look more Van Gogh-like. Using some oil pastels in a linear quality, I want to make it look like the texture of thick paint. So using oil pastels, which is kind of like a paint stick, I'm adding in some thick brush strokes with these dashed lines. I'm starting to think of the designs that I saw in some of Van Gogh's work. A lot of it was dashed or showing the brush strokes pattern, so that's what I'm trying to imitate with my oil pastels right now. I'm trying to make it look like strokes from a paintbrush that's been added on, and you'll also notice that I'm using more than one color. So spots of purple, spots of white, spots of blue, and so on and so forth. Now that I have my basic background done, I'm going to go ahead now and start being creative and deciding what do I want to add into my landscape. You don't have to use the images that I'm using right now. I was just trying to think of different things that I could add into my picture to make it look like a landscape. So I was thinking trees, bushes, and it might be helpful to take a look at the beginning of the video that showed Van Gogh landscapes. You know, all of the images that might be applied into your picture. Sometimes he drew people in his pictures. I recognize the big cypress tree in that painting that was done, Starry Night. But I also wanted to add some of my own images that I thought I would like to put into my landscape too. Again, this is your landscape. Even though it's inspired by Vincent van Gogh, you're going to go ahead and add some of your own ideas to making it into a landscape that you would like to go ahead and make. Enjoy this process, and I hope you have as much fun as I did creating a Vincent van Gogh inspired landscape. Lastly, let's take a moment and start tearing off the tape. You'll notice that I need to do it very gently, going super slow to get that tape away, and it gives you a nice framed look to your Van Gogh landscape. Gently pick and peel, slowly taking the edge off, and you'll get a nice white frame going around your beautiful artwork. I noticed at the bottom of mine, some of the paper started to come off with the tape. That's okay. Just take your time, go slow, and just do the best you can. Take your time. If it does start to tear, just go slowly so that you do the best you can to keep it intact as best you can. I love the way this looks. I think it gives it a nice framed look, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Have fun, everybody. Thanks for watching.